Thanks for joining us tonight. This is Johnny Robertson, and we are live here. And as always, we try to have things that are pertinent, fresh, and we always want you to realize that we are working, and we expect that you tune in, getting to see something that is vital, that is associated with real life. And so tonight we try not to let you down on that. We're supposed to, I don't know if any of you realize or not, but Caleb was in fact challenged by Malester Muhammad. I would say what Malester Muhammad is to our area if I knew. And in my time with Malester, I have not been able to figure out what capacity really Malester represents in this area. Let me get a picture up here of Malester for you. I'm going to go through my hard drive, and I'm seeing right now 389 items associated with Malester. So that tells you that there are quite a few things that I could go through associated with him. Let me go ahead and bring a picture up of Malester. I'll open this up into a video. Don't know that we'll play it, but let's see, I think I've got my audio turned completely off over here. We are going to let this suffice for a picture for Malester. Now, folks, I have had a history with Malester Muhammad. Why would we be bringing Malester up? Why is it that we're talking about him? And why is it that we think that you would be interested in him? And the reason, I do have to do some things on the fly here. I'm just going to go ahead and talk, and you pretend that I've got a whole crew of people that are working for me, but I really don't. And I'll go ahead and find a piece of information that I need, and you will be the beneficiary. Why is it that Malester is a topic in the first place? Well, I believe it was last week, Caleb was going into Star News on a Thursday night. Jessica Griffith was having her talk show, and she had a city councilman. And I'll open this back up here just right quick. She had a city councilman on named Lawrence Campbell Jr. And Lawrence Campbell, as some of you know, was in fact at a White Rock Baptist Church in Danville a couple of weeks ago. The setting, you know, you kind of wonder what goes on. We try to keep you up with what's going on. The setting was the violence in Danville, and there, you know, it was going to be a time for individuals to get asked questions and maybe some remedies or something like that for the different violent settings in that area. And so Mr. Campbell, now I don't have as great a picture of Mr. Campbell as I do Malester. I apologize. Let it play a little bit more, and I'll try to get something that puts him in a little bit better shade, you know, as far as him looking stately or whatever. I don't want to try to intentionally make him look bad. Sometimes Jessica Griffith and Jessica Robinson, now I'm going to freeze her. That is the way she looks. Most of the time she's doing this number here. And there was a little bit of cussing going on here behind the scenes. I don't know for sure if this is the edited version, and I'll ask Caleb. You know, you may not realize this, folks, but religious people do cuss. And so Caleb might want to text me if he happens to be available, if this is the edited version, and I've got the volume down, so we'll go ahead and let you see Lawrence Campbell. So here's what transpired. As a result of that meeting, I'm just gonna, I can't resist. Let me go do just a little enhancement here, and we'll let this go on slow motion, and we'll get just full effects of Jessica. She's trying her best to be on the camera, so we'll let her be on the camera. So here's what takes place. They're leaving their show. They've been on the camera. Caleb comes in, and he has his camera running, and for some reason, people who have just been on the air, they feel that they deserve the right to not be public figures. But folks, once you become a public figure, that's just the way it is. You can't even sue for expectations of privacy anymore once you allow yourself to become a public figure. So this is the setting. Mr. Campbell is there. He's been on the air talking with Jessica, and he has been at the White Rock Baptist Church, and Malester actually got the podium at some point, and Caleb is asking Mr. Campbell, who is the son of the chief apostle of the world in Danville, Virginia, Mr. Lawrence Campbell, Lawrence G. Campbell Sr., and this is his son, And Caleb is asking them, how in the world can the apostolic church participate with Muslims? You know, what is it that a Muslim is going to, what can you get as far as a hope for stopping the violence when you have Muslims involved? And number two, you've got Christianity, supposedly, at least a representation of something that is said to be Christianity here in this church where you supposedly have a chief apostle. You have Jessica Griffith, who's a Baptist, or at least used to be a Baptist. I don't know what she is anymore. And we're saying, what do they have to do with Muslims? Why would they think a person who has come out and said that he doesn't believe that Jesus raised from the dead, he doesn't believe that there is a such thing as the Son of God, he thinks he's a Christian and he's a Jew and he's a Muslim at the same time? I'm saying, if I could tell you what Malester is to this community, I would, but I can't tell you. He doesn't know himself. He's a Christian, Jew, Muslim. No such thing. There's no Jews that's going to claim a Muslim as a Jew, and there's no Christian that's going to claim a Muslim as a Christian, but for some reason there's a Muslim in town that claims he's both Christian and Jew. I mean, the guy just and then he allowed people, now this one may be a little bit difficult, but I promise you, I have it in the discussion with Malester, he allowed this community to think that he was a representative of the Nation of Islam, and he is not a representative unless he has been reinstated some fashion. And I tell you what I know about Malester, if he had been restated, we'd see it. It'd be in the newspaper, it'd be on Mount Rushmore, it would be somewhere where you could actually have the world to see that Malester is back in good graces with the Nation of Islam. We have a new Nation of Islam that we debated, the Nation of Islam, and then real Islam. All of these individuals we have debated. So we're involved with them, and I can tell you this. Let's get back to regular speed here, and I'll see if we can't hear Mr. Campbell's response in this regard.
Going to be helpful to the community.
Transvestites, I want y'all to use that more.
Elijah Muhammad, do you think that's going to work? So if I gave this book to the black community that actually says they were nothing but white devils.
I'm just for me, I give the Bible. I don't.
Well, this is what my investor's going to give out. So
let me ask this, Brian. I have not viewed this video where I know what I'm looking for. Has he said anything about a Muslim? Has Caleb asked him if a Muslim is going to help or hurt or whatever, anything like that?
Will you work with him?
Talk to Malester.
Will you work with him while he promotes his book?
I work with Malester. Does a lot of good and service to the black community.
Is this good for the black community?
I'm saying you're trying to twist me.
All right. Did he say anything?
I've seen them to.
Okay, hold on. All right. Which was it hard to hear him or Caleb? Okay. I think let's try it one more time. Let me see if it could be in my enhancements. Hold on. I realized that I had some equalizer problems going here. Let me just straighten this out right quick. We're going to say default. How about this? Let's go again.
One more question. I know Malester did.
Is that better?
Dixon was there last night. Mm-hmm. What about to that extent? How far do you think your dad is going to go with the Nation of Islam? Because
it was for the community. Why didn't you come and help out?
Okay, well,
solution. No, you could.
Mark McManus asked.
You know, this is so disingenuous right here of Jessica. Mark went to the White Rock Baptist Church. Jessica happened to be there, and she told Mark that he wasn't welcome. She said, I don't know why y'all want to come. Now she's asking Caleb, why didn't y'all come? Now, we have her on tape saying not to come, and I guess she has a lapse of memory that we would have been recording. She was there recording. Maybe she was getting some kind of clip ready for the news to go on and to advertise this meeting at the White Rock Baptist Church, and Mark came up, and he was going to interview somebody, and it happened to be Jessica. And she said, don't come. Now she's asking Caleb, why didn't y'all come?
Yes, Jessica, and do you know how you answered him?
He was also stalking me and harassing me, driving around.
Always trying to get some lawsuit going on. She's had a friend of hers call her us up and pretend to be a lawyer. Mark is stalking her? Seriously? It's, you know, she's in the news business. She knows exactly how it is when you are getting a story together, getting information about something that's going on right then, something that is news, something that's the buzz, And she wants to pretend that that's stalking her, that somehow or other she's got the attention level from the Church of Christ that we're stalking her. Try something else, Jessica.
And following me as well. So, but y'all continue to do what you do. I love that y'all talk about
Yeah.
me. Use this.
So,
It's
Mr.
a video
Campbell,
on
what about Nation of
Facebook.
Islam?
It's
Do you
a
actually
video
think that
on
is going to be
Facebook
helpful to the
with
community?
Transvestites. I want y'all.
Is the Nation of Islam going to be helpful to the community? Are they going to be able to solve our problems? You know, the biggest problem that we have in the Middle East is the rivalry associated with people that follow Muhammad, that really follow Muhammad and adhere to the true teachings, the things they claim to be the truth of the Quran, which is you conquer through the sword. Have no problem with killing individuals who will not be conquered or who are actually called the infidel. And we all know that. And you know, are you going to divorce yourself from the teachings of the Quran? And we've got Malester, he doesn't even know if he is a Muslim. He's a Christian and a Jew. So there's like you know, you've heard of people that have split personalities. And Malester, generally there's only two. There's a Jekyll and their Hyde. Malvester's got 3 personalities. You talk about Sybil, this guy's got all of these shows beat. Charles needs to follow Malester around. The guy doesn't know who he is, and we don't know who represents him. And he challenged Caleb for a debate, and then he came on today, and he rescinds his challenge, and he wants to have a rematch associated with Star News. He says that he cannot trust us to be fair. Now, folks, I don't know how many debates we've had, but many of you that are longtime watchers know that we've had some debates. We have never had any problem, with the exception of J.C. Richardson, who actually was so worried about us and our integrity that he had us sign a contract which he broke. He had me sign a contract agreeing that we would have equal time on a broadcast where we sit and discuss the history, the historical proofs of the Church of Christ, and he would oppose that and show that we were some Johnny-come-lately. And what did he do but break his own contract? I sat just basically as a person who had my rights denied, and I could see that he was not going to let me talk. So I sat for 1 hour right beside J.C. Richardson and never said a word. The only thing I did, because he never let me have my turn, I just began to hold up the contract. And I thought that J.C. Richardson would be the kind of individual that he is, a person who breaks his own contract, can't trust him. I thought he would be that way, so we had purchased an extra hour just in case he were to pull something like that. And guess what we did? We turned right around and went on behind him without him. And we exposed him for the kind of individual that he is, a contract-breaking individual that you cannot trust, even when it's his own contract. And so we've never had any scuffle, not the first time. Now Malester thinks that he needs to have Bob Sharp somehow or other to make sure that it's fair. So this is, let's go ahead and listen to see what Mr. Campbell says, and then we'll hear Malester wiggle out of his...
Use that more.
Elijah Muhammad, do you think that's going to
hurt?
So if I gave this book to the black community that actually says that we're nothing but white devils.
You asked for me. I give the Bible. I don't.
Well, this is what Malvester's going to give out. So
you need to let him decide.
will you
Talk to
work with
Malvester.
him?
Talk to Malvester.
Will you
Talk to
work with him while he promotes his book?
I work with my investor. Does a lot of good and service to the black community.
Is this good for the black community?
No, I'm saying you're trying to twist me.
Okay. We'll have to go back in on another occasion and bump up Mr. Campbell's speech. All right, let's, Brian, let's see what we can hear from Malvester.
Here with you, Malvester. I was planning on giving you 10 minutes. You're not. So if I gave you 10 minutes straight right off the bat, you're still not coming on. You get the first 10 minutes to say whatever you want.
No. I'm gonna do it. We're gonna do it on a neutral place. Bob Sharp can do it.
So, I mean, what about
on his show?
Malvester? Why did you agree then 2 weeks ago to come on with me?
You ain't your problem. I ain't never come on his show. I come on with Bob.
Malvester, I asked you 2 weeks ago, will you come on live TV with me? And you said yeah.
I will.
So
I will, but not on your program.
you did not agree to anything with Bob Sharp. Why do you think you need Bob Sharp? Bob Sharp ain't a Muslim.
I don't need him, but I feel like I have a fair chance with him. I'm just going on your show where you dominate.
Why do you think I'll dominate? I don't get this.
Just like when I called in and you cut me off and all like that. You know what? I'm not gonna let you where you got control.
Well, real Muslims have gone on Johnny's show. They didn't have that problem.
You know what? They not me.
I know that.
And I seen how Johnny did. The Muslim guy went on there. He did him dirty.
How?
Now, it's one thing to just make a statement that I did him dirty. I have not mistreated any Muslim that has ever been on any of our programs. And number two, we haven't mistreated Malester either. Malester gets to call in. Let's see if I can think of the Muslim's name that came on with me originally. Rashid, I think is his name. Let's see if we can get his name to come up. Rashid Muhammad, I believe was his name. And he came on with me from the Danville Mosque. And, you know, the crazy thing about it is the man rode from Danville to Reedsville with me in my car. We had a debate on the air, and then he rode back home with me in my car. And Malvester's talking about you did him dirty. Seriously, this guy was a real Muslim. I'm talking about, you know, he is a practicing Muslim that is following Middle Eastern, you know, I don't want to have to say it that way, but I'm just saying folk that are Muslims that didn't come out of America, you know, not a homegrown Muslim that has got a whole different kind of doctrine. I just really thought his name was, it was 2004 when I debated this guy. Let's see, let me see if I can put in Muslim. I didn't really think that about him being on here tonight because I didn't know that Malester had made that that charge against us, not mistreating a Muslim, and did him dirty. You know, and that's the kind of thing that individuals do. They just make all kinds of statements that they can't validate, and then we have to go in and show that it isn't true. I don't guess anybody that's associated with us remembers his name. Rashid, I think was his name. Why can I not think of that guy's name? And I may not have named it that way. Let's see. If I don't type it in close to the name, I end up getting 1,000 different things to look through. So let me see if I can get that to change to WMV. We'll go that way. Let's see right quick. Let me try Islam right quick. Islam, we'll get close to that. WMV. And, you know, what we end up, this call actually came in at 7 o'clock. So when we're doing these kinds of searches, you know, you're hearing things that happen right now. And, you know, we have an assembly that started at 7. So Caleb hung up the phone from Malester and we went straight into that assembly midweek Bible study. And so it's very difficult for us to do the research sometimes that we're needing to do. So we're basically, let's just see how Malester really does feel about us. I have a clip of him, and he is speaking to his feeling about us.
Everybody should have a champion fighting for them. They trust somebody that know not going to lay down and not going to accept anything. Somebody going to go and get what's needed for the people.
What about
that's
champion?
what we need.
What about a champion for the human race? Right.
But well, you know what? Until we get rid of well, God breaking that down now, where He breaking the wealth of America, the fall of America. Once it go down, then what you talking about will come up. I have a problem with skin color, Johnny. I have a problem with your mind. See, that's why God told us to take the mind of Christ, because the mind you have is no good.
What is the problem that I have? I mean,
The problem is, Johnny,
Anyway, we can get the remote out here. We're going to be able to fix it where I can actually hear what's being said out here. And I'll try my best not to mess it up.
See if that one will work.
This is the remote. Okay, are they all the same color or something?
Probably has the batteries.
I'm having a hard time making out what's being said. I'm trying to listen from the control room, so it makes it a little bit difficult. Some of these videos I haven't seen in months and sometimes years, so we're trying to make it where I can act. There we go.
Magical hand. There you go. See if you can hear it now.
Nothing. I don't even hear it in the control room.
Up in a world where it favored you. And everything.
Do you really know
everything,
His opinions.
Well, I say his mind. His mind is what the problem is. And Johnny's mind is
You
by
both have paid
Johnny
heavy prices for your
attacking ministers. He wrong. God never did that. God attacked. Jesus never did that. Jesus attacked the religious leaders, yes, because they was trying to get rid of Jesus because the religious leaders and the rich had a thing going.
That's what's going on in Martinsville.
I know that. And Jesus came talking about a kingdom for the poor. And that's what I'm talking about right now.
I'll tell you this. In the Martinsville Church of Christ, when a black man comes in, don't nobody lock their pocketbooks up. The first man that was in the Martinsville Church of Christ, the day he came, the first night he came, he had actually been taken off his job for a bomb threat. And the lady who got him the job walked in and said, "Johnny, do you know that the police just came out for him for a bomb threat?" And I said, "I don't care if they did." The man came to try to learn something, and he gets a chance just like everybody else.
Do you think local ministers take advantage of people?
Well, I think this. The Bible say Satan deceived the whole world. I think to go down, then what you talking about will come up. I have a problem with skin color, Johnny. I have a problem with your mind. See, that's why God told us to take the mind of Christ, because the mind you have is no good.
What is the problem that I have? I mean, do you see me mistreated?
The problem is, Johnny, you have been taught, and you come up in a world where it favored you. And everything.
Do you really know
everything,
His opinions.
Well, I say his mind. His mind is what the problem is. And Johnny's mind is by Johnny attacking ministers.
Now, Malester is basically saying that the world I came up in favored me, and the world he came up in did not favor him. And, you know, the thing that we're always dealing with, folks, is there is never going to be, I don't know of any time really that we're going to have a world where everybody is going to be on an equal playing field. That's just not going to happen. And when Jesus came on the scene, Jesus did not try to revolutionize the economy and turn the world into a commune or communism. Jesus tried to set up a system of minds where individuals would look at other individuals and say, I love my neighbor as myself. I want to try to treat him as I would like to be treated. Now, that in no way sets a precedent for you have to give your neighbor everything that you have. Because as soon as you say that, you basically run into this problem. If you interpret this verse to say that everybody then deserves what you have a problem with the fact that you have more than one neighbor. Do you not see that? Do you not see the problem? When you say, well, okay, that means if I am to treat my neighbor as I want to be treated, means that I need to give my neighbor what I have, bring him up to my level. Then what about the other neighbor on the other side? Because if I give you, if you're my neighbor on one side, if I give you half of what I have, what am I going to give to my neighbor on the other side? Because see, I've given you half of what I have, and if I were to give him half of what I have now, that would only be a quarter of what I had left after I gave you a half. So that is inequality right there. So you see, Jesus is smarter than that. There is in no sense the idea of a commune or a leveling the playing field. Now, I understand President Obama's mindset and some of the Democrats' mindset right now. They want to redistribute wealth. The idea is that if you take the wealth of other individuals and redistribute it, that somehow is going to solve our problems. It is not going to solve the problems, and Jesus never taught that. They say that is a crowning principle of Christianity. It is not a crowning principle of Christianity. Christianity is not a redistribution of wealth into a commune. Never was Jesus' teaching. Never was. And some people go into the book of Acts and they say, well, that is what took place in the book of Acts, but it isn't. In the book of Acts, you had individuals who were in fact displaced from their home in the Feast of Pentecost, and as a result of that, these individuals were sharing their goods as a result of the fact that people were displaced. It was not a command. It was something they did out of generosity in their own free will, and it does not teach communism. That individual that actually came into the assembly that we told about a while ago, he read this, the gentleman who was involved in the bomb threat, he read this passage and said that we ought to all distribute and bring him up to an equal level with everybody else because of this verse right here. Having land, sold it and brought the money and laid it at the apostles' feet. And he's basically saying that everybody should do that and we should have an equal playing field. That's not the case. This was something that was not a command. It was in fact free will on their part, and it was because people were displaced from their homes, because they had traveled from all over the world to be in Jerusalem for the day of Pentecost, and as a result of becoming Christians, they had separated themselves from their entire family with whom they traveled from all parts of the world. They found themselves destitute on account of being a Christian, and the people who lived in Jerusalem, who had land, were selling their lands and giving the proceeds to be able to take care of these people who had obeyed the gospel and displaced themselves from their family in their dire time of need. This is not communism as a Christian principle. So Malester he's basically caught up in, and he actually puts as a premise, one of the standards, one of the premises of the Nation of Islam is that they be given reparation for things done in the past, and this somehow is going to make things equal for the Nation of Islam. Well, you know what? The fact is the Nation of Islam does not represent all persons of color in the United States. So how is that going to fix the problem? You have individuals, and you know, right now, you do not hear you hear the cry of the Latin American, the Latino crowd to some degree as a result of the fact that we're in a debate, in a political mode where we're trying to elect the President of the United States, and you hear certain things being laid out there that this group doesn't care about Latinos and this group does. So, and that's pretty much what you hear right now. It's borders and things of that nature. But by and large, we don't hear the plight of the Mexican community. We don't hear of the disparities associated with their lives. And I don't really know why. I come from Texas, and let me tell you, if you are from a border state and a state that used to be Mexico on top of that, and you would have grown up in that area, you would definitely know much more about the plight, the disparity associated with the Mexican community, and you just don't hear very much of that. And I would say a lot of it has to do with the fact that we're in Virginia. If you were living closer to Mexico, closer in some of the southern and western areas of Texas, you would hear this. It would be news. You would hear the disparities, and you wouldn't hear anything from the black community, African American community. You would hear very little on the news about disparities and reparation and things of those nations. Reparation, we're talking about giving Nation of Islam an entire state and a certain amount of money to pay the persons who are living now for the suffering of individuals 150 years ago. Reparation. The United States has done that to the American Indian population to a certain degree, and it is a token, if you really get down to it. Reservations that were taken over because of oil, and now American Indians that are living now are being given funding for school, funding for hospitalization, funding for childbirth, funding for their first home and things of that nature, trying to give them some kind of reparation for the ill treatment of the native Indians. And so this is the kind of thing that takes place. You've got the Marshallese that they're getting reparation for the fact that the United States went over and just completely obliterated many of their islands in order to test out our nuclear bombs. And in those days you didn't have much news, and you didn't really have human rights being practiced on a level playing field. And the United States would go in as an imperial as a country practicing imperialism, really. They just had no concern whatsoever for the natives that lived on these places. And if we need an island to put our trash on, or we need an island to try out our atomic bombs, then you know what? We'll just move a bunch of Marshall Islands, an island called Bikini. We'll move them off of that. We'll move them over here and plop them right down on another island, and we'll blow that island to smithereens. And it's been uninhabitable for the last 50 years, and they're getting reparation. Many millions of dollars in reparation. So reparation is a thing that we do consider. But Malester, for one thing, he isn't representing anybody. He can't even be in like a practicing personality who is a representative of the Nation of Islam in Martinsville. I don't know any group of individuals associated with the Nation of Islam that accepts Malester as a true representative. Let me just let me see if I can get Malester in a video where we find him. And you might say, well, why are we doing Malester tonight? Because Malester is supposed to come on with Caleb tomorrow night, and he is basically, in fact, reneging. And I can show you that he's a person who doesn't really care about his word, whether or not he tells the truth. Now, we're talking about an individual that is saying that I have a mind problem, and that's why he can't be associated with me, is because I've got some issue that needs to be changed regarding my mind. Well, let me just, I have Malester here on a clip that is discussing his word. Hold on just a minute. Malester is a man of his word. All right, let's get that video pulled up. A man of his word. Okay, each time I begin to work on that, I lose sight of that particular video. Let's see if I can get it. There it is. Hold on just a second. Malester, let's see if he will let us hear him say it doesn't matter if he keeps his word. I guarantee you I can get Jessica to witness that you said it.
Well, if I did say it, who does that mean?
Well, if you did say it and now you're denied it, it means you're not a man of your word.
Well, or what?
Did you hear that? You're not a man of your word. He said, well, so what? Do you want to hear that again? You see, that's one of the reasons Malester doesn't represent anybody here. Take a listen. Denied it, it means you're not a man of your word.
Well, or what?
So, you're just not going to like clear that up. You're not the rep for the Nation of Islam, but you're trying to raise up Damble.
See, you know what? I don't even have to answer none of you ask me because you're not important for me to have to answer some of you ask.
Well, why would you call in on a broadcast that featured me then if I'm not important?
Because you were talking about me when you was on there.
I never mentioned you.
Yeah, you did.
No, you called up first.
Go back and look at the video. Go back and look at it. You'll see.
I did not mention.
Well, or what?
Well, if you did say it and now you're denied it, it means you're not a man of your word.
Well, or what?
You know, it just doesn't get much better than that, really. The only way it could get better, really, is if it was better quality, you might say. You know, that was Malester on a phone call. He called in on a show that I was doing with Jessica in Danville. It was right after I got through having cancer, and I had come back, and she wanted to do a feature on me, Jessica Griffith, and I agreed to do it, and Malester called in and said that he was going to raise up Danville. And then he denied it, and I said, well, if you do deny that after you said it and I approve it, it'll mean that you're not a man of your word. And he said, well, so what? So, you see, tonight we're basically dealing with a man who agreed to come on and present information that would promote the message to the black man. That's what the book that Elijah Muhammad wrote, and that's what they wanted to discuss, the things that are in that book, whether they're true or they're going to be useful. That's the question that Caleb asked Mr. Campbell, is would it be useful to have Malester involved? And Malester now has reneged on his opportunity because he says he can't trust Caleb. Now here's what happens when we have a discussion. We try to agree. If we have an hour program, are these calls basically going on, Brian? You're on What's the Bible Say?
Hello?
Yes. This is Johnny. Yes, caller, you're on live.
Question is, the black community vote for Trump? Well, I would say no for one reason. Mr. Trump came out about 4 or 5 years ago, questioning the legitimacy of President Obama, questioning should he run for president or should he be a president because he was not even an American. And the second thing that he questioned is, how did Mr. Obama get into Columbia University and Harvard Law School? So really what he was questioning is the intelligence of this black person.
So are you watching our program, ma'am?
Yes, I am.
Okay, let's see. The only thing I said about President Obama is that the Democratic Party also believes in redistribution of wealth. Is that what moved you to a political discussion?
The redistribution of wealth. Who believes in that?
One of the tenets of the Democratic election plan is to tax the rich in order to redistribute wealth down the line, and they believe that will promote growth.
You know, that may be what they say, but we know that is true. There's nowhere in the world nobody is going to redistribute any wealth in this country. How long would it take to redistribute the wealth from rich people to other people? No, that itself is a fallacy. I mean, that's hypothetical.
Okay, but are you saying that it's not the case that is being discussed, or are you saying it is?
I don't know what program I'm looking at, sir. I think I'll just kind of say good night, because what I'm looking at and what you're talking about are two different things.
Are you even watching our show? I'm talking about Malester Muhammad.
No, okay. I'm watching Star News.
Yes, but this is Channel 18, and I'm talking about Malester Muhammad, who agreed to debate with Caleb, and then he reneged on his debate.
Oh, okay, sir.
Could you comment on that? What do you think about Malester Muhammad?
I'm not quite sure who Malester Muhammad is, so I will recuse myself from that question. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, now let's see here. Any way to see that phone number? It was the lady from Martinsville, though? I'm trying to figure out why she doesn't know Malester. All right, so if you're in Martinsville, Malester Muhammad has been around here since at least 1996. He used to have a show on the old Cable 6, and this lady doesn't know who Malester is. And so I'm not saying anything about the lady. I'm saying Malester is what I might question is why it is the case she doesn't know that. Is that somebody trying to get in? Okay, you're on What's the Bible Say?
Yeah, Johnny.
Yes.
Why do you do evil stuff, man? You put me on there and then cut it off so people couldn't really hear what I said, and then you make it and say it the way you want it to be said. You know what? Ain't no good in you, man. You do evil stuff, man.
Isn't it?
Technology.
Isn't it good for me to let you be on the program tonight?
That you right.
Isn't it? Is at least one good thing me letting you be on the program tonight?
So what?
I said, isn't one good thing me allowing you to be on the program tonight?
Allowing me to be on it.
I took your call, which means that I allowed you to be on the program. Now, wasn't that nice?
Well, you are up there talking about me. You should allow me to be on.
Not necessarily. The news people talk about people all the time, and they don't let them. They don't let them call in. Every time you see the news people talk about somebody, do they immediately take a call from them?
When I was on there, I always gave the people a chance to talk. I never tried to shut people down.
I don't think that you can prove that.
I never tried to.
I don't think you can prove that.
Mislead people about what somebody said.
I don't think you can prove that.
I didn't say what you say. I said.
We just played you saying that you're not a man of your word, and you said, so what?
I did not say that.
You did. We all heard it.
We could see you cutting the sound off, so people couldn't hear all of what I said.
Well, we don't have any proof whatsoever of you treating people nice like you say. At least I have something to go on. I had an audio of you saying, "So what?" when I asked you.
Oh, you cut it off. You cut it off. You edited, Johnny.
That's what you say. Well, why don't you go ahead and come on and straighten it out without Bob Sharp? That would be nice of us to give you free airtime, but you're so scared that you can't handle yourself that you got to have Bob to help you, and that's the real truth. That's hilarious. I tell you, it is hilarious. He's speechless.
You should be a comedian because you're very funny.
I have good material to work with, let me tell you, when I work with you.
You know, Johnny, you know you cannot deal with truth.
I can deal with you, Malester. The problem is you have to have a coach or a mediator of some form or fashion. We've had 10 or 11 other people that have come on from every nationality, every kind of religion, atheists, agnostics, the whole gamut. Nobody has ever complained about the way we treated, black or white. You're the only person who has complained that we wouldn't treat you fair. Now, why is that?
The Muslim guy that you had on there, he told me himself that you...
Which one? Which one?
He said you lied to him.
Which
and told
one?
him that you was not going to...
Which one?
Some things, but you come on there and you...
I've had several Muslims on. Which one you talking about?
The guy from Danville.
There's more than one Muslim that's already been on with me from Danville. Which one?
Well, the one that got to have... you know the one I'm talking about, the one you're trying to find.
Well, if you know who he is, why don't you tell me and we'll get him up here on the screen. You'd be helping me out. I can't remember his name.
And then you talk about I'm not a real Muslim. Are you a real Christian?
Well, now why aren't we changing the subject here? You said I mistreated that gentleman. What's your proof? I actually gave him free airtime. I told him weeks in advance what our show was like, told him where the channel was.
You lied to him. He told me you lied to him.
Well, that doesn't mean I did lie. I told him what the channel was. I told him what kind of show. You watched the show, and then you decide if you want to be on. I went to his house, picked him up. He must have decided he wanted to be on. He rode all the way to Reedsville. Let me ask you this, Malester, will you ride with me to Reedsville and be on Caleb's show, and then I'll give you a ride back home? We'll be just as nice to each other as we can be. I'll take you out to eat on the way home. How about that?
I'm not going to do that.
I didn't think you would, but the other Muslim did, so I'm not sure you really are speaking for him.
Well, I'm just telling you what I know.
What you say you know.
You can twist it any way you want.
What's the twist? What's the twist? You can't prove anything you say, and we already heard you say you're not a man of your word. We know that.
No, you ain't heard me say that.
Okay, does the Quran say that you can lie if it suits your purpose?
You doctored on that.
I just asked you.
To say what you wanted to.
Does the Quran say you can lie if it suits your purpose?
You know what?
I know you don't want to answer that, evidently.
Said anything that for me to lie about?
I'm asking, does the Quran say that you can lie? Malester?
Yeah.
What does the Quran say about lying?
Same thing the Bible says.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
You ain't never heard me tell no lie, no way.
Well, I'm not asking you about your honesty right now. I'm asking you about the Quran, the book that you follow.
The holy. What is you asking me?
I'm saying, is deception and lying, is it a privilege that you actually can practice from the Quran if you're trying to deceive the infidel?
I never read that in the Bible, in the Quran.
Do you know in the Quran, Surah 3:28?
That's why the people cannot come together, because you got liars coming between the people in the book. You understand? You saying what you think and what you want people to think about the book.
I'm actually reading. I'm reading from a pro-Islamic website, and I'm reading the Quran. And there are several different places in the Quran where it actually allows for deception if it moves you ahead of the infidel. Now, why don't you just go ahead and admit it?
The Bible says that he wise as a serpent and humble as a dove. So what is that saying?
That doesn't mean you can just simply lie.
Well, what is it saying? See, a serpent is a person that lies, right?
No, it says it did not talk about.
His little turn. You crooked, man.
Here's the thing about a serpent, Malester. A serpent can't even speak. It's a snake.
Yes, he can. That's what they
Not in Matthew 10. In Matthew 10, he's talking about being harmless as a dove. Are we really talking about we're going to fly around like a dove? Harmless as a dove. They don't have any. Does a dove have any mechanism to protect themselves? Their little old beak is real small. Their little old claw, their little old hands or claws are very fragile. We release doves at weddings and things like that because they're so fragile and unable to take care of themselves. But now a snake, that dude is, when we talk about wise as a serpent, that dude is able to get in and out. He's able to make moves where you can't find him. But he's not talking. That's not lying. He's talking about use the wisdom, the ability to maneuver like a serpent. He's not talking about any kind of ill part of a snake. You don't go around biting. I mean, when he said be wise as a snake, does that mean that a snake bites people? You can go around using your teeth to get ahead of the infidel? I don't think so.
If you let me talk a little bit, I'll tell you.
Well, you know, really, Malester, we would let you talk in person, but you don't want to do that, but you want to dominate a program.
That's why I wouldn't come on no show.
No, the reason why you won't come on the program is because you're a coward. I mean, that's just all it is. I cut him off. Now, listen, folks, here's a guy. Now, you get this for reasoning. He calls in and spends 10 minutes back and forth, and if he doesn't like the format, he can get his own program. But we were nice enough to let him call in and be heard. What other show's going to let him call in? What other religious show he going to call into? None. Nobody wants to hear Malester. We'll let him call in. I'll take his call back here in just a minute. But here it is. He doesn't want to be on a program because he says we won't treat him fair, but he'll call up on the program and expect to be treated fair and carry on because he's not getting treated like he wants to be treated. Caleb promised him today, I heard him promise it, give you the first 10 minutes, you'll go uninterrupted. I've been with Malester. I've been with him on shows up here. I've been with him in a so-called debate where he had Bob Sharp up here basically making sure that Malester was able to talk. It was nearly 2-to-1 time. But anyway, you let Malester go 10 minutes uninterrupted, and I'm going to tell you, you're going to lose your audience. I've heard him go 10 minutes. It's about like Louis Farrakhan. He starts talking about a white person isn't really white, and he starts getting all kinds of white represents this, and before you know it, you're in the Million Man March speech. I mean, that was the greatest moment for the Nation of Islam, was the Million Man March. And they try to recapture that speech over and over and over. I've heard Malester do it. He loses his audience in 5 minutes. And he can't prove anything that he says. I have video, audio. I have 380-something different videos and audios of Malester to back up the stuff that I say and that I've heard him say. He doesn't believe Jesus is the Son of God. Why doesn't he address that? And talking about having to be honest, he doesn't have to worry about being honest. The Quran is filled with verses that actually give them the right to be deceitful and dishonest to the infidel, and if that don't work, just kill him. I mean, that's really what the Quran says. But you know what the thing is, Malester, we don't know if he follows the Quran. I forgot to ask him, is he a Christian or not, a Jew or an Islamic person? And if he really knew the Muslim over in Danville, which Muslim in Danville? I mean, we've debated more than one Muslim in Danville. So which one of these Muslims is he talking about that said that we didn't treat him fair? Now, I remember there's one Muslim over there. His name is Sheikh Noordin. We had him on, and eventually the actual imam that represents Islam or is representing a particular group in Danville said that he is a clown. So if it's Sheikh Noordin you're talking about, his own man said he's a clown. So if he's talking about the other one, the other individual, Rashid, that is in Danville, I don't know why he would have a problem. As I mentioned, he rode to Reedsville from Danville with me. We had an hour and a half long discussion. We leave the place, he rides back, and if I did him wrong, he didn't say anything about it. I did everything I know to do. I tell the individuals that want to have discussions with me, here's the channel that we're on. You can have 2 or 3 weeks to watch the program, see what kind of program it is. And if you still want to be on, I'll be around to pick you up if you'd like for me to pick you up. If you don't know how to get to the station, or you can follow me to the station. All of that is standard procedure. The man agreed. He came to the station. If he didn't like it, you know what? Maybe he didn't like the way he did. You know, a lot of people don't like the debates after they get in them. Brian Edwards is wishing he had never had a debate with us. That's not the way. It's not the kind of way I treated him. Now, as far as me treating Malester, don't you think I was fair to him tonight? I don't see any reason why an individual would complain about being allowed free time on a show that is in fact talking about him. Now, that's the kind of thing that we basically deal with on, just regular basis. And then you have a guy who talks like this about us. Take a listen to this.
Look at that. Look at that. Just killed a black man for no reason.
The white man
Did he lie? Did he lie?
Did your man lie when he said a white man's a devil?
Did he lie? I mean, from this book, looking at this book.
Who is that book? Now, I played Malcolm X. I played Malcolm X out of his own mouth saying, you all killed him because he exposed your prophet. And
Johnny,
you said, we ain't going to take that.
I won't even address that stuff you saying, Johnny, because it don't make sense.
Hold on, Carter. We'll give you a chance in a second.
Look at that.
We're going to take a break.
That's
now,
what he doesn't want to address Malcolm X saying that the Nation of Islam was trying to kill him and eventually did kill him. I played Malcolm X on Mike Wallace's 60 Minutes program where Malcolm X said the Nation of Islam is trying to kill me. Elijah Muhammad could stop it. All of this problems that they're having, he could stop it with one word. But the man is insane. Why did Malcolm X say that he was insane? That would be Elijah Muhammad. This would be Malvester's leader. Why is he insane, Malcolm X? Because he has surrounded himself with 16 and 17-year-old girls, several of which he has gotten pregnant. Now they're having children. He's out of his mind, and he's being outed. It's this scene that is being created by his prophet is actually now coming to light, and Malcolm X is exposing it. Now they want to kill him. And this is what Malester says. I don't even want to address that. Now he wants to talk about the way I treated some Muslim that he don't even know his name, that he couldn't prove to save his life. But I've got video footage of Malcolm X saying these things and demonstrating that individuals inside the organization knew it too. He don't want to address that. He always wants to address something that he can't really answer or put forth any true information about. Take a listen.
I mean, from this book, looking at this book.
Who is that book? Now, I played Malcolm X.
I
played Malcolm X out of his own mouth saying, you all killed him. I played Malcolm X. I played Malcolm X out of his own mouth saying, you all killed him because he exposed your prophet. And
Johnny,
you said, we ain't going to take that.
I won't even address that stuff you saying, Johnny, because it don't make sense.
Hold on, Carter. We'll give you a chance in a second.
Look at that.
We're going to take a break.
I don't even want to address that stuff you're saying, Johnny. Why, Malvester? Well, because it doesn't fit my narrative. See how that goes? It doesn't fit his narrative, and that's the way he is tonight. We're showing information. Let's see if I can find his prophet. Now, this is the individual that these individuals are promoting from the Nation of Islam. Have you ever seen Elijah Muhammad? When you talk about the individual that is being promoted as the Messiah in the Nation of Islam, folks, you need to recognize who you're actually talking about. You need to realize what is being perpetrated. Take a listen.
But actually, when we say Satan, we mean a man or a people that their wickedness is not, say, confined to themselves. It spreads, and the others is affected by their wickedness. And the white man, we say, is the devil.
The white man, we say, is the devil. Now, that's Malvester's leader, Elijah Muhammad. Malvester probably doesn't even realize we have footage from the real man. Elijah Muhammad, right there on your television, said the white man is the devil. He said also that the moon turned over and the water was on the moon was poured out, and that's where we get our oceans. This guy, the level of ignorance that's being displayed by this guy is just, it's phenomenal. It is actually for a time when individuals didn't really have the the capabilities to amass knowledge. My grandfather was from this time frame. My grandfather thought that the moon, going to the moon, was something that was a production of Hollywood. He thought NASA was using Hollywood in order to get money for the NASA program, and he believed that those individuals that we saw walking on the moon, televised, he believed that was all done in Hollywood. That's the time frame of Elijah Muhammad too. Elijah Muhammad is back here, and he's basically, he has gotten into a position where he can talk to massive audiences, as we just showed, discussing with Malester. Malcolm X exposed him for being involved with all these teenage girls. Malester doesn't want to talk about it, but Malcolm X told Mike Wallace on 60 Minutes that they were trying to kill him as a result of him exposing the indiscretions of their prophet. Now, that's why Malester has reneged tonight. We have him on tape, called in and reneged. He's not going to be on the program. He says it wouldn't be fair unless Bob Sharp was his moderator. Now, I let him come over here and talk for 10 minutes, and this is characteristic of Malester. He's not a man of his word. I played him saying, I asked him, I said, you told Jessica Griffith that you were getting ready to raise up Danville. He said, no, I didn't. I said, I have you on tape. And he said, well, and I said, what if I played it? And I prove you're not a man of your word. He said, so what? Now, he says I doctored that tape, but he said, so what? And we've already demonstrated, the Quran says you can lie if you want to beat the infidel. And he's an avowed Muslim when he's not being a Christian or a Jew. So I really don't know when to trust Malester. I could ask, I suppose, if he said the other day that he was coming home. He told Charles on, was he on Fayette Street or down here? He was on Fayette Street. He was selling the final call, and he told Charles that he was coming on the program. And so, you know, now he can accuse Charles of not being honest, or he can claim that we're not fair. But as I say, nobody in all of the debates that we've ever has said that we were unfair to them while they were on television. They have everybody has done fine. We've had no glitch whatsoever except with J.C. Richardson, and J.C. Richardson had us sign a contract that he himself broke and reneged on the contract, and we bought airtime because we thought he would do that, and we exposed him right in the next hours. But other than that, everybody's been fine. And I've talked to J.C. Richardson on several occasions since then. It's not like we were, you know, we've made ourselves just mortal enemies because of that. So Malester is just really demonstrating that he is afraid, his doctrine won't stand. We would expose him for not being a true representative of the Nation of Islam. He has no credentials whatsoever, but he gets to call up. I expect tomorrow night you will hear him on the phone because he wouldn't show up in person. So, folks, we hope that you enjoyed the broadcast, and as what I'm trying to say, as usual, we try to give you something that is pertinent, you know, something that is eventful. Malester was just at the White Rock Baptist Church with Councilman Larry Campbell, and Larry Campbell said, would it hurt to have the Muslims involved in the peace process in Danville? I absolutely believe it would hurt, and Caleb was set to demonstrate that by showing the faults of Malvester's doctrine, but Malester won't come on. So, thank you for being with us. Always ask for what does the Bible say. God bless you. Good night.